D. Mace Fingan and Donick 1025, 1063 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Great start to the show for me today. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, David Janes here with you. Willie Donick will be on later in the program. He is with the Predators in Raleigh, North Carolina. Predators at Hurricanes tonight. Puck drop at 6. Pregame at 5. Right here on 1025, 1063 The Game. So Willie Donick will be along probably in the second half of the program. I hope everybody is having a wonderful start to their sunny Tuesday here in Nashville, Tennessee. Yesterday, of course, was a big day for Titans fans. It was Cam Ward's pro day at Miami. And I'll be honest with you, all of you.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it, as much of it as I could, and I was impressed by many of the things that Cam Ward did. I still struggle to understand just how valuable the on-field stuff is at a pro day.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek, we are going to get your in-depth analysis of what we saw from Cam Ward at his pro day. We will also talk to Tim Hasselbeck in the next segment. And Tim was on Get Up this morning on ESPN talking about Cam Ward's pro day. And Tim spoke to me.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
He will literally speak to me in about 30 minutes, but he figuratively spoke to me because he was talking about pro days and
Mm-hmm.
how scripted they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to listen back before we talk to him so I do not misconstrue his words. But he said that pro days are almost becoming a complete waste of time. I think he was talking about the on-field stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for the Titans and other teams, though mostly the Titans, to visit with Cam Ward, talk to Cam Ward, talk to his coaches at Miami, talk to his teammates, all of those things. That's important. But Mike Greenberg showed one of the viral plays from Cam Ward yesterday. Mm-hmm. He rolls to his left and heaves the ball basically the length of the field. And Mike Greenberg asked Tim Hasselbeck, how often is this play run in a professional football game? And Tim said, never. And likened it to a basketball player at his pro day taking a bunch of half-court shots. Now, Derek, when I explained this to you, you pushed back a little bit because you did say that there may be an instance in the game when Cam Ward has to make a play like that. But we will talk more about this with Tim Hasselbeck in the next segment, coming up at around 11:30. But as I'm watching this, the question I have is, would there be a more productive use of teams' time than watching Cam Ward in a scripted practice throwing to his receivers? Not taking away from some of the impressive things that he did on the field, but I again struggle to grasp the importance of this day as it relates to the Titans. Maybe you can help me out.
If I'll push back on that just a tad bit, because we can also say, well, what is the importance of the NFL Combine? Because it's becoming more of a spectacle than anything else. And I get it. That it would be the first time you get a chance to get your eyes on a prospect, do the medicals, talk with him a little bit. So I understand sort of that aspect of it, but you can get all that during the individual workouts, but they choose not to do it. And again, I understand why they do it the way they do it. So there's really no pushback. I'm just kind of sort of comparing one to the other, and what one could say as a defense for saying that the pro days are a little bit more than that. Now, listen, I don't think, and I said this before, the pro day workout. We talked about this yesterday. I didn't think there was anything Cam Ward could do outside of his arm falling off that, at least on the field, that would push him into the category of, we're not drafting this guy. It would have been the things that they went there outside of the field stuff, interviewing certain players, talking to staff members, talking to those that work within the program, but not really attached to the program, in a way that they're there in the meetings and out of the meetings with them, like the people in the lunchroom, talk about or study hall, people like that. So how is he treating those people outside of the program? So if they would have gotten some red flags about that, then okay. But I think anything outside of his arm falling off in that, I think they have a positive sort of grade and potential of a Cam Ward. He hasn't done anything that would make them say, I don't know if we can draft this guy. I really do. I think everything's pointing toward the positive. But even with that, somebody can say, I give you 2 first-round picks and this and that for the number 1 pick. Hey, I got to listen now. So I don't think there's anything. He did what he's supposed to do in regards to throwing the football. I think some of this stuff is now we get an opportunity to be on a sideline with them and see the power or the velocity that the ball comes out of his arm. So seeing that in person and feeling that's why you gotta be there, because a lot of times you are in a press box, watching game or watching film, or you just can't get that close. Well, here you can get intimately close with the quarterbacks while they are doing or performing their workout.
So we have Good Morning Football on in the studio, and the question they're asking right now, does Cam Ward to the Titans at number 1 overall seem inevitable? Well, considering how many important people were there at Cam Ward's pro day. By the way, this was one of the funniest things I saw yesterday. There was a video before the pro day. I can't recall who shot it, but it was from across the field, and it was Cam Ward meeting members of the Titans staff. And I believe one of the people was Bo Hardigree, and the other was Jim Wyatt, which made me laugh. Because Jim Wyatt, we love Jim Wyatt. Jim Wyatt, I would recognize that visor from anywhere. He is the only person I know who still wears a visor unironically in 2020.
And it has a pin right in it, too.
He has a pin or a pen?
A pen.
I think he uses a pencil, actually. He goes old school.
Oh, then my bad. Pencil, yeah.
Yes, he uses a pencil. That's, and not like a mechanical pencil, like a number 2 pencil.
Yeah, you got to sharpen.
That you had to go to the front of the class and turn the knob to sharpen, that kind. So
hey, everybody uses a pencil nowadays, every now and then.
I would not be surprised if Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker and Brian Callahan had their mothers at this thing. That's how many people from the Titans were there, including their in-house production team, Jim Wyatt, and such. So David Janes actually has the clip of Tim Hasselbeck from Get Up this morning that I was referencing. We will talk to Tim in about 20 minutes, but here was Tim this morning on Get Up.
Up this orange line they have there, up the left side of the field. Tim, let me ask you, what is this play called? Like, if you're in the huddle and you want to call this play, what exactly is it the quarterback is saying? How often is this play run in a professional football game?
Yeah, pretty much never, Grady. And that's one of the things about these pro days. Guys do this. Look, if you're an elite thrower, which Cam Ward is, you do things like this at your pro day, right? We've seen other quarterbacks do things like this at their pro day. To me, like, you've been talking a lot of basketball this morning, like, this would be the equivalent of a basketball player on their pro day taking a bunch of half-court shots. Like, okay, great. Like, maybe it happens once every 5 games that you take a half-court shot in basketball. I don't know. But, like, in football, it's just unrealistic. And so some of these things that happen in these quarterback pro days, especially the way that they're so scripted, guys aren't, testing, running 40s, doing things like that. They're just, if you're an elite thrower, you show off your arm. If you're not, you have to be a little more dialed in and scripted. And I hate to say it, it's almost just becoming a complete waste of time.
That's the point I want to make here.
That was Tim Hasselbeck
Oh.
this morning on Get Up. So I'm glad David had that so you could hear it versus me relaying it to all of you.
Okay.
Do you want to push back on Tim?
Yeah, I push back from this standpoint. He's right. This particular play isn't called in a game.
So let's set this up. He takes the ball.
Yes.
He rolls to his left.
Yes.
He's near the sideline.
Uh-huh.
He chucks the ball basically the length of the field, it feels like.
Yes. So that particular, because you gotta listen to what or how Greenberg is posing the question. He said, he didn't say, does this happen in the game? He said, is it scripted? What is this play called? And Tim's right. No offensive coordinator or head coach in their right mind is going to dial this one up, okay? Unless it's a Hail Mary. But no one's going to put this in their first 15, okay? Nobody's going to do that. But what does happen is he just wanted to show you his off-script throws, his ability to get outside the pocket, which we saw at least 10 times this year from our own quarterback, getting outside the pocket and trying to heave it down the field because he sees a one-on-one matchup. So we see Patrick Mahomes do it all the time. So again, I don't fault Tim for answering the question the way he did because of the way the question was asked of him. Now, if he would have said, does this happen in the game a couple of times, throughout the season with one particular team, he would have to say yes because we see it every week. And then let's go to the scripted part right quick. There is a thing called the first 15. You know what the first 15 are? Scripted plays. They are scripted plays. The first 15. We're going to run this play first. All right, whatever, San Diego. We're going to run this because we're banking on hitting those slants, gaining 6-7 yards, and then we're going to come back with a power to Eddie George, and we're going to gain the rest of it. Those plays are scripted. And then there's little sidebars. Okay, if we don't complete that pass, can we still go to the power with Eddie George? More than likely, yeah, because he's going to pick up 5 yards. So those plays are scripted. I don't understand this. Well, there's no need for it because they're scripted. The first 15 on every team that I've been associated with, going back to college, we have a first 15, and it is scripted. Now, outside of that, you try to, because of your scouting, you try to have a thought in your mind on what you're thinking to play ahead as far as a quarterback, as far as a offensive coordinator. You're thinking ahead. And if the quarterback knows you the way he should, then y'all are thinking the same thing. So in actuality, it's a mental sort of scripting because we know what y'all going to do. So again, I'm a little pushback on that. Not a lot, just a little pushback when it comes to those two things.
Well, the good news is we'll have Tim on in just a few minutes, and you can push back directly to Tim.
Bam!
That's the
how I
best
like
part about being a sports talk radio host. It just works out well that way. Jay is on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com. Jay, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you, guys. I just want to say, Cam Ward, I'm so grateful. Grateful to you as a Titans fan because I think Cam Ward is going to set the Titans up beautifully, and I might be going a different direction than most people. I think the Titans, I think they want to trade this pick. I think everything that I'm seeing, the tea leaves, I think the value has only gone up. And I think where the Titans are as an organization, I don't know if they're in the right lockstep with the front office and the coaching staff to commit to a young quarterback right now. I think they will if they don't get the offer they want. But you look at the Giants. I mean, Jameis Winston. You're trying to convince me that Jameis Winston is going to play 17 games for them next year? I don't see it happening. And these guys are on the hot seat, and it's New York. So I think, as much as people say the pro days, it doesn't matter. Well, the Titans staff was there, the Titans front office was there, the Jets front office was there, and that's when deals get made. And I'm calling my shot now. I don't think the Titans are picking at number 1. I think they're picking at 3, and they're taking Abdul Carter to get a premium position to start this rebuild right.
All right, Jay, thank you for the call. We will remember
I wouldn't touch Abdul Carter.
your called shot because of the foot injury.
Yes, because of the foot injury, I am very skeptical of moving out of the number 1 pick down to 3 and drafting him because of that foot.
Mhm.
That's one like a red flag. He would probably be off some people's board because they don't want to have to draft a guy that high. And as a pass rusher, your knees and your feet are what make you. That ability, that spring, that punch, it all comes from the lower body. And if you are ask Javon Curse after he had his knee, was it the same? You know, it can change how you play as a player. But then again, we don't know exactly when the injury happened. Was it during the season? If it was, then heck, he played through it and he played damn good. But then again, how long is he going to hold up? Now we're moving to another level now. These guys are much bigger and faster.
So, again, the Titans had everybody there.
Yeah.
Chad Brinker was there. Mike Borgonzi was there. Brian Callahan was there. Everybody who is important, everybody who has some role to play in this decision was there. And to me, here I actually saw this yesterday and I found it to be humorous from Mike Golick Jr. Mike Golick Jr. tweeted, quote, "The NFL Network crew talking about how rare it is for quarterbacks to hurt their stock at a pro day right as Cam Ward sailed a rollout throw to his right in the red zone was hilarious timing." And again, we have discussed examples of quarterbacks having poor pro days. Jared brought up Teddy Bridgewater last week, and Jared would know that because Teddy Bridgewater went to Louisville, and he went to Louisville, so he knows that. Teddy Bridgewater hurt his draft stock with his pro day performance. But from what I saw, and again, the only tape I grind is masking tape or duct tape or things of that nature. I don't grind tape like Derek grinds tape or Jared grinds tape or TD grinds tape. So I'm just watching from a pure football fan standpoint. I did not see anything yesterday that said to me, man, the Titans should reconsider. And it feels like it was this felt like confirmation to me that the Titans are going to take Cam Ward, unless, as Jay said on the call, the Giants or the Browns or somebody is so desperate for that number 1 pick that they will make the Titans an offer they simply can't turn down.
There's a difference between bombing your pro day and having a few missed throws.
So how did you feel about that? We will get more in depth with your thoughts on it, but generally speaking, how did you feel about Cam Ward's performance?
I think he did a good job. I think he did exactly what he went out and set to do, how they sort of scripted it. And bombing of a pro day would have been balls everywhere selling. Him not being on time with receivers, him looking slow, that zip not there. That's bombing a pro day. That was the Teddy Bridgewater. But a couple of missed time throws or overthrows here and there, and it wasn't many, believe me. It was more so the 1 or 2 he had in the red zone areas. He had one that was in the play area on the out route, but then he ended up running it again. So you're talking, he threw the ball maybe, let's just say 70 times, and he has 4 bad throws. That you're telling me 4 out of 70, that's a red flag for you? Nah, because when I turn on the tape, I'm watching what he did against defenses. Now, again, he may end up being the greatest, he may not. I don't know. But I don't think he's doing anything that would make one think, oh man, look at that. Look, he's not worthy of the number 1 pick. No, that's not the case. You're just comparing him to the guys last season. And that's unfair to him because he wasn't in that draft. And we really don't know how they would have evaluated had all those guys been in the draft after Cam Ward having the season that he did this year.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Cam Ward's pro day. How much did it matter to you? 615-737-1025. We've mentioned Tim Hasselbeck a couple of times already. He will indeed join us coming up next. We will continue the conversation that he started having on Get Up this morning. Again, I agreed with a lot of Tim's comments, but we will dive into them a little bit deeper. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. 1025 The Game and Bavarian Beer House have teamed up to give away tickets to see Billy Idol and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Bridgestone Arena in the all-inclusive Eurostone Club on Saturday, May 17th. Tune in to Chase and Big Joe tomorrow during the 9 a.m. hour for the keyword to text in for your chance to win tickets. Bavarian Beer House, located at Opry Mills Mall. Enjoy traditional German beer, brats, giant pretzels, and more in their expansive beer hall and garden. D. Mace Vingan and Donick, 1025, 1063 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Joined on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, by Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst. Tim, I saw your appearance on Get Up this morning. We played it in the first segment of the show. You really spoke to me this morning because I had some questions myself about the importance of Cam Ward's pro day. And if I misrepresent your comments at any point, please interject. But you were talking about the scripted nature of pro days, and you wondered aloud if they're becoming a waste of time. My question for you is, what would be a more productive use of teams and prospects' time as opposed to a scripted practice on pro day?
Well, I think if someone from the league, a team representative, so a team quarterback coach, like when you watch the film of the pro day, Mike Kafka standing in the background. He's the offensive coordinator for the Giants. Let him run it. So it's not, you don't know, the answers to the test before you take it. And then the other thing that would happen is that presumably if you have a coach running it, they're going to ask you to do things that are realistic and actually are things that you would be asked to do on a football field. So, and then I think there's like this other side of it, which is, guys don't run at the combine, and because of, certain analytic things and stuff like that, like data can be gathered whether a guy is fast or not and things of that nature. So like, I understand we're getting further and further away from guys testing. But he didn't do any, didn't run a 40, didn't jump, didn't do a shuttle drill. He basically was like, these are the things I'm good at. I'm going to do only those things. And in some ways, look, it's fine. Like there's a saying in the NFL I was introduced to, which was be who you can afford to be. And like, look, if you're going to be the number one overall pick and you can afford to not do the stuff, then don't do it, or do it how you want to have it done. But, to me, we're going to beat it up and evaluate it. And truthfully, there wasn't a ton that I thought, made sense in terms of what you actually see him do on the field. And then, and the stuff that he did, he obviously knew he was going to do.
Do you think, or what do you think, the Titans saw yesterday from Cam Ward that maybe they didn't already know? Or do you think this just served as confirmation to what they already knew about Cam Ward?
I think it would only be confirming, because when you watch him throw in games, you can see it. Okay, I've never seen him throw live. I can tell you right now, he's an elite thrower, and I've never seen him throw live. So, the stuff that you saw at the pro day, which was him throwing, that's it. Like that's all. That's what he did. Now the other stuff, and like Mike Tannenbaum was making this point this morning, and I think it's a very good one. What you also want to see is like he's throwing with his receivers. What's his interaction with them like? What's the rapport with those guys like? And when you're there on campus and you pull Xavier Restrepo aside and say, hey, so like you played with, De'Aaron King, and you played with Tyler Van Dyke. Like, tell me about Cam Ward. Like, what made him different than those guys? And like how those guys talk about him, like that's up. Like for the fan, that would, like a reality show of like a video and recording during that would be way more interesting and I think valuable to get a sense of what kind of guy, what kind of teammate, all that type of stuff.
We'll talk with Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst and head coach of the Innsworth Tigers. Now, Tim, I think you're spot on with that because, and I will talk a little bit about the on-field stuff and it's scripted, but you were right about that, I believe, because when you go to the campus, a lot of this stuff you may have seen on tape and you just want to sort of get the feel of it actually being there. Some guys throw at the combine, so you get a taste there, and then you're going back to these campuses. And what you really want to find out is how does he interact with everybody and not just the people he's in a locker room with? How does he interact with the lunch staff or the dinner staff? How does he interact with the trainers, the study hall people, the teachers? How does he interact with those individuals outside of football? And anything outside of his arm falling off, I think that would be more of a red flag than anything. Don't you think?
Listen, I think it's a great point. When my brother got to Green Bay, Andy Reid said to him, he's like, listen, Brett's going to do all this stuff. Like he's going to do all this stuff at practice. And a lot of it's wrong. Like, I don't want you to look at Brett and the way he throws and the way, he The way he practices, the way he goes outside the design of the offense. I don't want you to do that. But what I do want you to do is I want you to look at how his teammates react to everything that he does. I want you to look at how he knows everybody in the facility's name. Like, I want you to pick that up from Brett. And it's interesting. Like, it might be something that you want to know about Brett Favre. Like, you see he's this guy from Southern Mississippi, kind of a gunslinger. What's the deal? Well, like, it didn't matter if it was the front desk, if it was the equipment room, if it was the janitorial staff. Like, everybody, he knew their name, and connected with them. And, so I do think there are elements. You know this, like the guys that you played with, teammates. Like, look, there are a lot of guys that could make the throws. But, like, how did the guy handle it when there was a receiver that was mad because he was open and he didn't get the ball? Is you all right? Like, what if the offensive linemen were screaming and yelling at each other for some reason? Like, how did he handle that? What if the guy had a horrible game and everyone's looking at him to see, well, how's he going to react after throwing 3 picks last week and having a fumble late in the game that cost us? Like how does he handle that? Like, those things are way more important, because just about everybody that's going through this process has the physical ability to make the throws necessary.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So I just thought that would be more important and insightful for those that are in a position to draft a quarterback than just about anything else. Now, in regards to the scripted, my pushback on that is a lot of the NFL game, at least the first 15, we all know, are scripted. So you know exactly what you want to do against certain defenses based upon if you got the first down, or if you got from 1st to 10, you got 7 yards. So now, as I explained earlier before you came on, Tim, now I know I can give the ball, which is my second play. I can get a ball to Eddie George, and Eddie George will get the remainder of the yards, and then we'll pick up the third play. So from that standpoint, I think they're trying to simulate the first 15. I know it's more than, 15 passes, but they're trying to script it in such a way that, okay, how does he figure things out with his receivers when he's tired? Can he still make that deep throw? So that's my only pushback in regards to, well, yeah, a lot of this is scripted, and you're right, it is. But I think, as there are a lot of plays that are scripted, on game day, at least the first 15 or 16 plays.
Yeah, and I don't care necessarily that, like, there's a plan for the workout, but I think he goes into it knowing I'm gonna throw 3 curls, I'm gonna throw 2 in cuts, I'm gonna throw a slant. Like he knows exactly every single throw, and then when they do, hey, okay, you're gonna drop back, you're gonna break the pocket, and then this guy's gonna run at this angle, and you're gonna make the throw. Like so to me, you're just playing the drill at that point. There's nothing reactionary. And so I think that, what I'm saying is like, when you go into the test and what the test is, like, you're going to perform better. And so, this notion that somebody would go have 70 throws and, miss more than 5 of them when they are going to do it, like, to me is ludicrous. Like, I don't know that I would miss more than 5 of them even today if I knew the throws that I was making. So I just say it in that regard. And then the other thing I would say that is, like, to me, when I look at these that are just, they're kind of nonsense, is I'll say this. Teammates, how many catches did you have in your career? Like about 1,000?
Close to it, yeah.
Okay, all right. About 1,000 catches. How many of them? So, like, and you would say, like, when you ran a go route, like you would catch the ball at about how deep? 45 yards or so?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, the aiming point for a quarterback throwing a go route, the way I was taught, was 45 and 5. 45 yards down the field, 5 from the sideline. Okay? So then say, like, there's a hard play action, deep post shot play. What, you might catch that one at what, 52 yards?
Yeah.
Maybe,
depending on where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Okay, so in your 1,000 catches, okay, how many catches do you think you had over 45 yards? That in the air, the ball was in the air.
that I actually caught,
Yeah, yeah.
I would say if you're talking percentages, maybe 10% of them.
Okay, so maybe it's 100.
Yeah.
So now go and say, okay, so let's go past like the deep post. Okay,
Mhm.
how many catches where the ball traveled in the air, 55 yards in the air,
Yeah, not
in
many.
your 1,000 catches? Like,
Yeah,
like
not
for
many.
real, like
Yeah,
maybe on
percentages is
one
very,
hand,
yeah. You're right in
right?
regards to, yeah, yeah. Unless it was just a
Maybe on what.
broken play and
But,
he,
but no. And listen, I agree with you. Maybe it's just a broken play. But so you had 1,000 catches over roughly 15 years.
Mhm.
And through all of that, you probably could count on one hand how many times a ball was thrown over 55 yards in the air and you caught it.
Mhm.
And so what I'm laughing about is, like, Cam Ward yesterday take, a drop, take 3 hitches and throw a go route 57 yards, or escape, backpedal to his left and throw a ball 62 yards. Or Zach Wilson will roll out to the left and launch one down the field, 67 yards. Guess what? That never happens. That'd be like going to a basketball pro day and being like, all right, now shoot 3/4 length shots.
But Tim, you are absolutely right. And that's why I said I couldn't disagree with Tim based upon the way the question was asked. Greenberg asked you, is there under any scenario this play is called? And you are absolutely 100% right. That play is never called, but that play does happen. It happens more times than not. We've seen it with Will Levis a few times this season where, because of a bad offensive line, you escape to your left and you see that one-on-one guy and you're heaving it up, maybe to get a pass interference. Maybe you make the play. Who knows? But you see that happening. I think it's more so of, hey, listen, I'm gonna show you what I can do if the pocket breaks down,
Hey,
and I'm just
listen,
gonna play with it just a little bit, just to show you
and
I
that's
got the
great.
arm throwing down the
Yeah.
field. Yeah.
Hey,
So
and
I
I've
think
watched
it's
people
more
be
so
like,
of that.
listen, you played with one of the best deep ball throwers in the last 10 years. You know what I mean? And Joe Flacco. And like, so think about this. Like, there isn't anybody that is probably, very few guys that can throw it as far or as accurately way down the field as Flacco.
You're right.
And you, who caught a gazillion balls in your career, are like, yeah, you know what, man? Like, it really didn't happen. So what I'm saying is, like, hey, man, like it's great. Put your arm on tape, man. Like, show it off, right? Like, no doubt. Like, do your thing. Like, if you're ripped up, like, do your pro day without your T-shirt on. But like, that does nothing in terms of telling me like what kind of quarterback you're going to be.
Oh yeah,
No,
you're
hey,
right about that. I don't think it tells you.
Yeah.
I just think it's more so of the player saying, "Hey, listen, I can make that throw. Don't worry about it." Even
Yeah.
though they're not really worried about it,
Yeah.
but he's just letting them know. It's one of those
Hey,
show off things. Like,
give me-
this is
hey,
what I can do.
Give me the guy that make his layups, okay?
Yeah.
Give me a guy that make his layups. Give me the guy that when he gets under pressure, he doesn't freak out and throw it right to the guy on the other team and run it back for a touchdown the first 2 weeks of the
No,
season.
you're right
Like,
about
give me
that.
guy. Like that. That's what I'm saying. So look, and listen, I didn't mean to touch a nerve with you.
No,
like,
no. You
I
didn't.
knew-
You didn't.
No. I knew you kept your T-shirt on at your pro day.
Yeah, man, I wasn't that ripped, man.
Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst. I feel like that's a good stopping point right there. Tim Hasselbeck joining us on the program as always. Tim, always a pleasure. We'll talk next week.
You got it. See you, fellas.
All right, Tim.
Tim Hasselbeck, 615-737-1025. Great stuff from Tim. Glad we could have him on today after his appearance on Get Up this morning. Your reaction to Tim Hasselbeck will also continue to take your reaction to Cam Ward's pro day, how much it mattered to you. 615-737-1025. Let me tell all of you that D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick is proudly presented by Bet365. Whenever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Willie Donick is not here. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025, 1063. The game.
change the trajectory. That's what teams who are getting Cam want to get out of him. If an NFL coach, a Titans coach or a Giants coach or someone like that came up to you and Mario and said, why should we draft Cam Ward with a top overall pick? What would you tell them?
Well, first I'd ask them if they've watched film at all this year, because if they have, I think it would make things a little bit easier. But I would be completely honest and transparent. You know, he's one of one, you know, and not only as a player, as a person. And again, to watch him on a daily basis attack the processes of being a true professional at the position, attack the process of being an elite teammate and competitor. I mean, I'm talking about every single practice, every rep. There are no wasted downs or no wasted opportunities. And then the other side, the human side, the connection side, he has just an uncommon ability to bring the best out of people and just change things. So he, I mean, it's been an unbelievable journey with him. You know, you always wish it's more than 1 year, but we can't wait. We can't wait to watch him play on Sundays.
That was Miami head football coach Mario Cristobal on NFL Network yesterday. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you talking Cam Ward. By the way, according to The Athletic, Cam Ward's workout started with 25 straight completions. Unofficially, Ward completed 54 of 62 passes to receivers running routes out of varying formations. He took snaps from shotgun and under center, and he showed off his arm strength while also mixing in some sidearm throws. Though the workout was scripted, it called for a lot of rollouts and simulated pressure situations in which Ward either had to pass on the run or dodge a theoretical oncoming defender before resetting and throwing. That according to The Athletic, which was on site yesterday for Cam Ward's Pro Day. All right, Derek, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. You watched Cam Ward's Pro Day. I wouldn't trust many other people to give a more detailed explanation of what we all watched than you. So as you watched Cam Ward's Pro Day, tell me what stood out to you that was positive. Told me if there was anything that stood out to you that may give you a cause for concern, and your overall impression of Cam Ward after watching him throw yesterday.
I think the way, because they had different angles they were showing, and then I was able to go back on the internet and watch other angles.
It's all about the angles.
Exactly.
Do you remember when well, some of you may remember this. Did you ever have MySpace? You may have been too old for MySpace. And I say that, I
had MySpace.
Okay,
but
you did?
Briefly. Yeah.
Okay. I say that lovingly when I say you might have been too old for MySpace. You
I
would have
had
been
MySpace.
He's calling you old.
You would have been better off. We all had our top 8, right? We all had our
Yes.
top 8. If you liked someone, they were at the top of your top 8, and you could tell that you were falling out of favor as you went down the top 8. So if you had a girlfriend, you were number 1, and then I'm reliving teenage trauma here. That's not the point.
Millennials explain.
The angles. It's all about the angles. The way you take the picture
Yes.
makes your jawline look a little bit better.
Yes.
Your gut looks a little bit smaller. It's all about the angles, right? So Cam Ward, he had some good angles yesterday, but you found alternate angles. It sounds like.
I found more so of a ground level view. See, people need to, I think fans, and there are some fans that have been fortunate enough through knowing people or through charities to be like on the ground level. When they say you're on the ground level, that's different from being, a row, even a row up or 2 rows up. Being on the ground level, you feel, you hear, you see a little bit more, you're more in tune with that, a little bit more acute to all of that. So when you see it from a ground level, it's like you hear the ball come off the hand. You hear the whip in the ball or the snap in the ball. You hear it and you feel it when the receivers catch it. You can even feel it when you know he's just lofting it up there and put some air underneath it to allow the receiver to run up underneath it. That's what you're able to get with those other angles. That's what I was able to feel watching it from those other angles. Now, the NFL Network angle, it was great because you got an opportunity to see the whole field as it was playing out. But to see those other angles sort of gave me a true feel of what it probably more than likely was like there. And the ball came off his hands. He moved very well in and out of the pocket when he had to. He was quick and decisive. And again, These are things that are supposed to happen. Why? Because like Tim mentioned in the prior segment, they're scripted. So you know how you need to deliver the ball. So I don't think from a passing standpoint, he showed you he can make all the throws, even the off-scripted ones, where he was just playing with you a little bit. But he showed that he can make all the throws, even the one in the red zone area, a low, high red zone area, low red zone area, however you want to classify it. Those were good throws. Did he have a few that were, bad throws? Yeah, but that's what you're going to see in the NFL. That's normal. I don't think there's been too many quarterbacks in the modern day era that didn't have a incomplete pass or a bad ball in their workouts, whether it be at the combine or, at their pro day. So if he, again, had I saw him completely bomb it, pass after pass, then okay, we would have had to reevaluate it. So I don't think there's anything. I think the things that you wanted to see, you saw. The things that I wanted to see, I saw. Now, in regards to what negatives there could possibly be, you're not going to get any do-overs. So there was one, and maybe the receiver went a little bit too deep, because when you're running that out, it's 10 planet 10, roll to 12. And the first one, it seemed like the receiver went a one revolution too long, which threw it off just a bit. That's what it seemed like to me. But you shouldn't have, so that, because that's a routine throw. If that's one of your guys you've been throwing a football to for over and over and over, he should know. And you should know where y'all should be able to complete that with your eyes closed. But they didn't. But my only thing is you don't get a do back on that one. Those are like hitches. Boom, hit that back foot and you throw it. Or if you're in shotgun already, you get that ball, boom, look, set, and throw. Those should be routine. That's the only sort. And that's like a minor thing, because every throw isn't going to be a perfect throw. I get it. But if you're looking at him and you're saying, whoa, what can be some of the minuses? I would say, hey, listen, whether it be in the low red or the high red and out in the field, those easy like hitches, quick outs, 10 to 12 yard outs, those are easy because they're rhythm throws. Those are easy throws. Even if the receiver falls down, it should have been in a spot where even if he fall down out of his break, it's still near him, So that's probably the only sort of pushback, because it seemed like everything else went well. It seemed like I saw him with his interview, and I'm sure we will talk about it a little with Rand Carthon. That went well.
That was something.
It was interesting, but to see Rand in that capacity.
Not the interview, the interviewer. That was
Yeah,
just Rand
yeah.
Carthon randomly showing up conducting interviews.
That's
talk
what
about
I'm saying,
that.
and we'll talk about that. But I don't think there's anything, at least what has been coming out about the whole workout. I don't think there's anything that is going to give me pause. If that was my guy, there's nothing that I'm going to walk away and say, let's rethink this. What I am going to do is say, okay, all right, how can we drum up the interest even more in our next meeting? Because somebody out there may be foolish enough to give us much more than what it's actually worth, because of the sensationalization that we've in sort of the talk we've created around. We may take him number one now.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on Cam Ward's pro day. What did you like? What didn't you like? Where do you stand on Cam Ward now that he has done his pro day at Miami? 615-737-1025. We will also hear from Cam Ward, because there was a moment at the pro day that caught a lot of people's attention, and I liked Cam Ward's response to it. And we'll play that next. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5-106.3 The Game. D. Mace, Fingan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick will be along later this hour, I believe. He is with the Nashville Predators in Raleigh, North Carolina. Predators versus Hurricanes tonight. 6 o'clock puck drop, 5 o'clock pregame, right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. During the break, Derek, you were showing me video, I believe it was taken by Jim
Yes.
Wyatt, of Cam Ward interacting with Titans brass at some point during the pro day. There was a part where Cam Ward and Brian Callahan dapped it up, but then you thought something else was funny in this footage.
It wasn't the Callahan and Ward sort of dapping and hugging it up, because that's like, boom, okay, yeah, we cool, we good. I know you, like we hang out, boom, or we will be hanging out, boom. All right, nice seeing you. And then it's this other guy that comes in with a backpack, and he tries to give the same greeting. But Cam ain't quite feeling it. So he's like that friend that you really didn't hang around at all. You knew him, but now all of a sudden he want to show up and be around and act like we know each other. It's like, oh, you almost got me. Like, all right, you good. Like, and then you ask Brian, why is he here? He was that guy. It was just an awkward exchange between the two. It made me laugh. So, because I've seen that happen before. Hell, I've done it before.
It's the side hug.
Yeah.
Side hugs are the worst. If you get a side hug, you know you are friends.
But it's a side hug with the dap and trying to bring the hands close to the chest.
Yes.
He tried to bring the hands close to the chest, but Cam wasn't feeling it. And the Cam just tapped him on the shoulder or something.
It's like he's just like, all right, yeah. Good scene. Yeah.
But he was looking and talking to everybody else.
Exactly.
That's how it looked. That was the perception that I got. I'm not saying that that's what it is.
We're not talking like Jared did at the Mike Borgonzi news conference, where he was putting the Mike Borgonzi, Brian Callahan bro hug. He was entering it into evidence like the Zapruder film. Like, these guys have never met each other. Look how awkward that hug was. We're not doing that. But I look, those sorts of interactions, you've got to be on your game. One missed connection, that dap is going to look bad. So I get it. I absolutely get it. But Cam Ward was throwing in front of basically everybody of importance with the Tennessee Titans yesterday. Brian Callahan was there. Mike Borgonzi was there. Chad Brinker was there. Nick Holes was there. Bo Hardegree was there. Reggie McKenzie was there. Dave Ziegler was there. AJ Highsmith, the director of scouting, was there. They were all there. They took Cam Ward out to dinner the night before. They all saw him throw. And there was a moment during the pro day where Cam Ward made a throw, and he was running toward the sideline where Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi were standing. And he said something to them. So after the workout, Cam Ward did an interview with NFL Network, and they asked him, what did you say to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi? This was Cam Ward's response.
The throw that you did on the roll, on the run, where you hit a dime and it looked like you turned to the Titans brass, Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi, and said something to him.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I said, I'm solidifying it today.
You solidified it today.
Locking
it up.
They heard you. They laughed.
I made sure they heard me.
So I guess off that tip, the Titans obviously have the #1 overall pick. They like you. They've had you in the building. What did you want to show them today?
I say not only showing them, but every other team just throwing on rhythm. Whether it's 3 steps on rhythm, 5 steps on rhythm for under in the gun, heavy play action, gun 5 with movement outside the pocket, just showing them all, under center stuff that I didn't get to show as much during the season, let them know that I'm capable of it. Because at the end of the day, the NFL is not playing under center all the time. They're in the gun, but you got to be able to do it. And so that was the main focus for me. And then other than that, it's just making it all about my receivers, trying to throw them catchable balls, make sure not have balls hit the ground. We had a couple. But at the end of the day, you ain't going to be perfect. You always got stuff to get better at.
That was Cam Ward saying, I'm solidifying it today.
Well, I mean, that's what you that's what you set out to do in these settings where it may be a tad bit. You may not be the consensus. You may be hearing, sort of the chatter that is out there about you and what you want to do as a player. Because listen, you only get so many of these auditions. Your main audition was your film. That was probably half of it, of your audition. What did you do while you were in college? And did you elevate your team and your teammates? Well, we saw that he did on just about every level. So now, it's him coming in and, you seen some of the things that, that you saw on film and some of the throws that he made. And he was just expressing, to the Titans, hey, listen, and that's the confidence that you got to have as well. It's like, listen, I'm standing on business. I'm solidifying it today in regards to the on-field stuff. After this, you ain't gonna have no more questions about whether I can make level throws and all this other stuff. There's no more questions. I solidified that part. Now, I'm not even worried about the classroom part because I'm gonna get that down. That's what they've been raving about him. And I know Cristobal is selling his program. I get it. But we've seen coaches that wasn't so glowing about their potential first round pick. We can go back to what it said Lou Holtz say about the big defensive end. Was it Lou Holtz? Yeah. That said about the kid that got drafted #1 overall.
When was that?
Out of South Carolina.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney.
How could we forget Jadeveon
Exactly,
Clowney?
absolutely. He said some disparaging things, if I can remember, about Jadeveon Clowney. So there are things that are going to be said, but I solidified it on the field. You see it. There should be no more. There shouldn't be any ambiguity about in regards to what I can do on the field. I've pretty much aced it in the classroom, and we can keep talking if you want to. It's just gonna get better. So he's confident in himself. He reminds me of Baker Mayfield, and I know we had this same talk last week. He reminds me more of Baker Mayfield than anybody else. He just has that. He has that attitude and that confidence about himself. The way the passes come off of his arm, it's like he's having fun out there. It's like he's throwing the ball with fun, with excitement. That's why I love Baker Mayfield so much when he came out of college.
So just a quick correction. It was Jadeveon Clowney. You were looking for Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier,
not Lou Holtz.
Yeah, not Lou Holtz. It was Steve Spurrier. I was thinking Spurrier did it to somebody in Florida, but it wasn't Florida. It was South Carolina.
So this is, it's crazy to go back and look at this. This is what Steve Spurrier said about Jadeveon Clowney's work ethic. Quote, he was okay. It wasn't like Marcus Lattimore, every player is a little different. His work habits are pretty good. They're not quite like Lattimore, maybe Stephon Gilmore, Melvin Ingram, some of those guys. But when the ball is snapped, he's got something no one else has. So clearly, talent was off the charts.
Yeah.
But Steve Spurrier said, work ethic, meh. And
when
did that manifest itself at the NFL level, you think?
He never, again, like he said, he never reached his true potential. Because you saw flashes, and that's why he kept getting jobs.
Yes,
kept getting the big paycheck. Why?
Just like he did in Nashville.
Exactly, because you don't see too many 6'6", 6'7" guys moving the way he did and just could dominate. He was Myles Garrett if he decided to play every game, in every play. He would have been Myles Garrett before Myles Garrett.
He's dining out on that one hit he had in
exactly.
college.
And the head coach said, anytime
work ethic could be a
anytime a head coach answers with, work ethic could be better.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah. Run away.
Exactly.
Yeah, we hear that.
Absolutely. So listen, stuff like that is going to happen. So when Cristobal speaks about Cam Ward, I mean, he speaks, and again, I get it. He's biased in a sense, but I don't think he would go out on a limb and, to that degree and hype him up that much. And it's not just the on-field talent, because you saw that he was a champion of Cam Ward off the field with his players, how he conducted himself through the building, whether win or loss. He was just a consummate pro. Not all quarterbacks are built like that.
We're going to play that clip from Mario Cristobal again, Miami's head football coach. This was Cristobal on NFL Network talking about Cam Ward.
Out of him, if an NFL coach, a Titans coach or a Giants coach or someone like that came up to you and Mario and said, why should we draft Cam Ward with a top overall pick, what would you tell them?
Well, first I'd ask them if they've watched film at all this year, because if they have, I think it would make things a little bit easier. But I would be completely honest and transparent. He's one of one, and not only as a player, as a person. And again, to watch him on a daily basis attack the processes of being a true professional at the position, attack the process of being an elite teammate and competitor. I mean, I'm talking about every single practice, every rep. There are no wasted downs or no wasted opportunities. And then the other side, the human side, the connection side, he has just an uncommon ability to bring the best out of people and just change things. So it's been an unbelievable journey with him. You always wish it's more than 1 year, but we can't wait. We can't wait to watch him play on Sundays.
That was Mario Cristobal on NFL Network talking about Cam Ward.
So, and again, I know there tends to be bias because you're with the individual every
he's
day.
Selling Cam Ward.
Exactly. But also, listen, if the guys don't display, some of these things that you're talking about, it's your reputation on the line, because I don't want to utter something and then you go, like Tim said, you go to the equipment staff, or you go to the medical team, or somebody else, and they give you a whole different story. Then you're like, whoa, coach, let me double back on what you said, because what I'm hearing from everybody else is something different than what you're saying. Even the players are saying something different, or they hesitate. I think Cristobal is telling you what everybody else would tell you that is close to Cam, that this is him. He's shown professionalism the minute he stepped on campus. He's taken this program, that 1 year, he's taken this program and he put a stamp on it. He put his stamp on it. So much so he was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. How many of those have the Hurricanes had within the last 10 years? Not many, if at all. And this is a team that routinely had top players year in and year out. So when Cristobal talks about Cam Ward in that manner, I think, like he said, he's genuine. And that's what you want to hear, not just from him, but to everybody else that you speak with.
We do have some, I guess you can call it breaking news from Adam Schefter from about 10 minutes ago. Quote, ESPN sources, Tennessee will hold an additional private workout with potential #1 overall pick Cam Ward. Not a surprise. The Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward, and while they are expected to listen to offers for the #1 overall pick, it would now take an even stronger package.
They are doing the right
to acquire the draft's top selection.
They are doing the right thing. That's why when we had this discussion with Willie, it was like, hey, I would let everybody know, if that's your guy, that's your guy. You know what that does? If somebody else wants him that bad, it ups the price. So, and then on what Tim said earlier, he's right, the scripted part. Now he will come and have a workout where it's not scripted. He's going to make throws that they're asking him to make into receivers that, I don't know how they can do this, but I think they can have some receivers that may be on practice squad or something like that. I'm not sure how the rules work itself out in regards to that, but you won't have a guy that you've been throwing the ball to all year. You won't have that guy, more than likely.
By the way, some Titans adjacent, I combined the two words, Titans adjacent news. Chidobe Awuzie has signed with the Baltimore Ravens.
Hey,
what's with this Tennessee to Baltimore pipeline, dude? What's going on here? It's been going on for years.
This is what happens, man. I'm telling you.
Now DeAndre Hopkins is there.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is there. Of course, you were there. Steve
just-
was there.
You know, this is what it is. I'm telling you.
I mean, Baltimore is just a great city. I don't know.
But this is what it
I am
is.
rewatching The Wire.
Baltimore, at least, and it started, with Samari and I. Baltimore has this way of still knowing that you got dog in you. No, seriously, at certain positions, they know if you still got dog in you or not. Look at, and I'm gonna go down the line with the majority of the guys that they went after, whether it was Samari. Yeah, he continued to have a good career until the injury.
You,
myself, Steve McNair. You look at what Derrick Henry did last year.
Steve Smith.
Smith.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney, he was here.
Kyle Van Noy.
Guys, they find a way to know that you still got at least in between 2 to 6 more good dog years in you. like we gonna get it out of you and we gonna enhance it. Because you look at it's almost like remember when we used to talk about, when college coaches sort of falter or they're on the brink and they have to go to, Nick Saban Academy to rehash their image or to get more of that in them.
Yes.
Baltimore is that for Tennessee players and some other players. Like, they're going to bring you in when Tennessee thinks you're done, they're going to say, nah, I see it. You still got some dog in you. Come on over here and we're going to enhance it. And they do. It happens.
We'll see. Because remember, DeAndre Hopkins lost his love of the game in Tennessee.
Exactly.
Went to Kansas City for half a season. Now he's in Baltimore. So we'll see if that, what should we call it? Like this dog resuscitation plant.
The Titans need to become that. They need to keep guys longer and realize that dog is still in them. And as long as he can sniff and bite, he's going to come after you. You play in and play out.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Cam Ward. Adam Schefter reporting that the Titans will hold an additional private workout with Cam Ward. Not a surprise. Adam Schefter also says the Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward. And while they are expected to listen to offers for the number 1 overall pick, it would now take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Boombah's Pizza and Watch Bar. We had a great time out at Boombah's late last week. Just in time for the NCAA tournament, score half off a $30 gift card and enjoy their award-winning pizza and handcrafted beverages. Visit them in East Nashville, Spring Hill, or Murfreesboro. Visit thegamenashville.com/deals now while supplies last. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you talking Cam Ward. Trey has been waiting patiently on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Trey, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, my guys.
How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I wanted to say that, I don't really trust what the media says about Cam Ward. Okay, I understand that he's good, and he was put in a position to actually, go through the drills. But what quarterback in that position wouldn't be able to go through those drills? If you take Vanderbilt quarterback and put him in the same situation, who would be better in those drills? Okay, that's one point. Another point, all I want to ask y'all from the bottom of y'all heart, Derek, do we take him? Adam, do we take him? And will the Titans benefit from us taking him when we have other things that we have to do to improve the team? Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks, Trey. So Trey's point is sort of what we were talking about with Tim Hasselbeck. The scripted nature of a pro day. What was the line that Tim used? If you have all of the answers to the test, you're going to do well.
Yeah.
So that's what Trey is saying as well. Cam Ward, to use Tim's words, had the answers to the test. So as long as he just kept it simple, for lack of a better term, he was going to do fine, which it looked like he did. The other question, do the Titans take him? We just read the report from Adam Schefter that it will take an even bigger offer than maybe originally thought to coax the number one pick away from the Titans. The actual words from Adam Schefter. While they are expected to listen to offers for the number one overall pick, it would now take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. I was listening to Robbie and Joe this morning. I think this is what they said. When you have as many people as the Titans did at Cam Ward's pro day, I feel like you are not sending all of those people if you aren't sure that this is your guy.
You want to make sure that you're right. You want to make sure that anyone that has anything to do with drafting Cam Ward, like that is going to be in that room, you need to be on this plane with us. And you need to be going down to Miami.
Let's just go over 1 minute. The people who were there from the Titans: Chad Brinker, the supreme ruler of football; Mike Borgonzi, the GM; Brian Callahan, the coach; Nick Holes, the offensive coordinator; Bo Hardigree, the quarterback's coach; football advisor Reggie McKenzie; Dave Ziegler, who I believe is assistant GM; and director of scouting AJ Highsmith. They were all there. And Jim Wyatt. Don't forget, Jim Wyatt was there too. That's also very important. But all of those people would not have been there if they weren't sure that this was their guy. At least that's how I take it.
Again, they want to make sure, like I said, and I've said this before, that there needs to be a consensus. Those people that you just talked about, after this evaluation, or as we're drawing closer to the end, those people that were there, everybody needs to be on the same plane in regards to we're drafting this guy. Everybody, because we all were there. We've all watched the film. We've all grinded tape. We've all did the interviews one way or another. We've all talked to people or were there while those questions were being asked. We all were there. So now that we all are here, now as we get closer to drafting him, we all need to be on the same page, all of us, because this draft, like the Steve McNair draft, is going to set our franchise up for years to come. I'm going to repeat that. This draft, like the Steve McNair draft, will set us up for years to come, because now we will have our quarterback. We've added some players around him. We're going to continue to add explosive individuals. We're opening up a window here. So we need to all be on board with drafting him. That's why they all were there. Now, to Trey's, if you put Vandy's quarterback in that situation, no, he wouldn't do well. I'm telling you that right now. He wouldn't. If you just, from what I seen last year, you throw him in now, he wouldn't do well in that
Right.
situation.
We're not disparaging Diego Pavia
Like,
here.
I'm not disparaging Diego Pavia.
But Diego Pavia and
his
Cam
arm
Ward,
talent are planets away.
Yes.
When it comes to arm talent, they are planets away. But Pavia is a hell of a competitor. He's going to win you some games. And we saw it this year. 100% he's going to gut it out. You know that about him, which makes him better than what his measurables say. But anyway, I think Cam Ward, what you want to see in him, I think what the Titans. Now, you're saying, well, you get the answers to the test. Yeah, but sometimes even when you get the answers to the test, you don't want to ace the whole thing, or you don't ace the whole thing, or you don't remember, all of the answers if it's 100-word test.
Who among us hasn't cheated on the test?
Exactly.
If you raise your hand, if you're listening to this and you raise your hand saying, I've never cheated on the test, you're lying. We've all done it.
And you can't get it right 100% because even with that, you got professors walking around this and that. You may not. It's just a whole different thing in regards to cheating. I wasn't an ace at cheating. Now, I'm not going to say I plead the fifth. Let's just say that. I plead the fifth.
The best cheaters always get 1 or 2 answers wrong. Not from experience. I don't know this from experience. I'm just saying.
To quote, I think this is, I don't know if this quote is attributed to this particular person, but I associate it with this person. To quote the late Eddie Guerrero, professional wrestler, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
There you go.
That's all I have to say. I used to cheat on in elementary school. We took keyboard class. So we had to learn how to type on the keyboards. You had to set your hands right, and you had to write without looking. When the teacher was turned the other way, I lifted the piece of paper that was over my head and was just hunted and pecking. So it looked like my word processing count was much faster than it actually was.
Hey, we all.
And did I retain any of that knowledge? No, because I still type with one finger on each hand.
I still do that too.
So,
I took computer classes. But
anyway,
listen, I get it to Trey. Him getting the answers to the test. I understand that. But my thing is when I turn on the tape and when I interview him, what do I see and what do I hear? And not just interviewing him, but interviewing people that are in some way, shape, form associated to the program. And maybe some that are not, but just know. Those are the things that I'm more, worried about when I go to his pro day. I seen on film what I need to see. Now I'm at a level where I can feel it. I can feel a snap out of his hands. I can feel that that ball being thrown through the wind. I could feel all of that. And like I say, even with the ones that he got the loft up and put a little air on, I hear it and I feel it real time, and I hear it, I feel him and I can touch him real time. So there is benefit to all of that. Now, the question was asked, would I take him? Based upon what I've seen up until now and on film, I wouldn't.
You would
not take him. I wouldn't not take him. Is that grammatically correct?
It's a double negative.
Double negative.
So,
but
finish your thought.
I would take him. Basically, I wouldn't. If somebody offered me like the moon, okay, I'll take it.
So I think,
but if somebody's not offering me the moon, then I'm drafting him.
So what you're saying is, if that offer, that heftier package, I don't like that. I was going to say heftier package. I don't like that. Can we cut that? No, we're live. Oh crap. Anyway, that trade package.
Yes.
That Adam Schefter is referring to. If what you're saying is, if that is not there, if the Giants or the Browns or whichever other team doesn't offer the world for Cam Ward, you would be comfortable taking Cam Ward.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what you were trying to say.
Yes.
That you don't love him enough that if the Browns said, we want him so badly and we want to move up one spot to take him, that we will give you our first round pick next year to move up one spot. You don't love Cam Ward enough that you would say no to that.
I don't love the pick enough just the actual pick
Having the
enough,
number one pick.
yeah, to just move down one spot or two spots, and you're giving me this year's number one and next year's number one, and there has to be something else thrown in there because it would be. I'm not saying what that it would be is, but just like I don't know what that it is, but it is. He has it, but it would have to be something in that ballpark.
Mhm.
This year's number one, which would ultimately end up probably being a third pick in the draft somewhere around, or the second pick, and next year's number one and some stuff after that. I don't love the pick that much that I wouldn't move off of it.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with Cam. Then at that point, it has nothing to do with Cam.
Okay. 615-737-1025. There was one text in here that I want to find because it cuts to the heart of the matter that I wanted to discuss coming up next. And of course, anytime you look for a text, you always lose it. Someone said, Lenny on the text line said, Cam Ward has too squeaky of a voice to be a great quarterback. All right. I'd like to see a correlation between pitch and
Have you listened to
quarterback
Patrick Mahomes?
Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog sounding dude.
He hadn't listened to Patrick Mahomes in. I mean, goodness.
Yes. I'm looking for
He's
can't
not the
find it.
poster boy for deep voices. I tell you
No.
that.
No. Okay, here it is. I found it. I did find this text from an unnamed texter. So I mentioned why I thought the Titans are set on this pick because everybody and their mother was out this pro day. One texter texted and then said, good. If they are all there, then we fire them all when it's the wrong pick. And this gets to the heart of the matter. We started having this discussion yesterday, and it led to some good reaction, and I want to continue it today. But just keep that text in mind. Good. If they are all there, then we fire them all when it's the wrong pick. 615-737-1025. Tune in later tonight to 94.9 The Fan for Vanderbilt baseball as the Commodores host Eastern Kentucky. Pregame begins at 5:45 and first pitch is at 6. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025, 1063. The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right. So I just read a text before the break from one texter. I was talking about the contingent of Titans personnel people that was at Cam Ward's pro day. And a texter texted in and said, good, if they are all there, then we fire them all when it's the wrong pick. And we started having this conversation yesterday. We didn't mean to have this conversation. It just happened naturally about this sort of defeatist attitude that Titans fans have right now. And I completely understand why you have that defeatist attitude. I was listening to Stillman and Company on my drive to pick up my son from school. And a caller called in, I believe it was Dylan in Antioch, was talking about how he doesn't trust the Titans to make this pick because of issues in the past with taking, quarterbacks. And Jared rightfully said, you can't blame Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi for Jake Locker. They were not here for that. Exactly. But I do think it speaks to this sort of fatalistic approach that Titans fans seem to be having about the organization right now. And again, I completely understand it. But this, I'm sorry, Derek. This is the question I want to ask Derek and then all of you at 615-737-1025. Especially now that we are approaching the NFL draft. Cam Ward had his pro day. He's going to have a private workout with the Titans, TBD. Is there anything the Titans can do this offseason to regain the trust of their fans? Is there anything that can happen between now and training camp that can make Titans fans feel better about the direction of this franchise? That's the question I have for all of you at 615-737-1025. Because on the topic of Cam Ward, we've referenced this story multiple times on this show. Matt Miller of ESPN earlier in March did this story where he polled executives and scouts and other people in the game. And he compiled a list of first-round quarterback prospects between 2020 and 2025 and where they ranked in terms of their pre-draft grade, if I'm not mistaken. And Cam Ward came in at 18th out of 21. The only quarterbacks underneath him that were drafted in the first round since 2020 were Michael Penix, Shedeur Sanders, who wasn't drafted, but he was included in this exercise, and Kenny Pickett. And Titans fans have seen that and have said, you can't draft Cam Ward. Look how low he is compared to other quarterback prospects that have gone in the first round. And I just think that there's going to be a large contingent of Titans fans that if the Titans draft Cam Ward, it's going to be, here we go again. Titans reached. They screwed this up. So I'm just wondering if there's anything, by the way, Dylan in Antioch texted in and said that it was indeed Dylan. See, I listen. I've got good listening skills. So my question is to all of you, is there anything the Titans can do this offseason? And keep in mind, the offseason has already started. So there's been free agency. They've made some changes to the coaching staff. They made a change at GM. Is there anything the Titans can do this offseason to regain your trust? That's my question to all of you, and I'll give it to Derek as well.
And this is the problem, I think. And I'm not going to say that all Titans fans feel as if the inevitable is whoever they draft. Let's just say, for argument's sake, Cam Ward. So it's inevitable that he's going to be a bust. There are Titans fans that are just resigned to think that. Why? Well, if you look at past drafts, and I'm not even talking quarterbacks, but if you look at past drafts or free agent acquisitions, they've had some not so good players in that span. Okay, but I'm not going to fault this regime for that, nor am I going to fault the regime for drafting Marcus Mariota or drafting any one of these other quarterbacks outside of Steve McNair. That's not this regime's fault. They get an opportunity to reset it. And I think they started off on the wrong foot, because as much as I like Ran Carthon and his staff that he put together, the fact remains is that the guys that you went out and got, some of them, they were hurt when you got them, and that played out the very next season when you got them here. So when people see that, and I think they're attributing really, it's all kind of muddy with the fan base now. The AJ Brown stuff, the Caleb Farley stuff. It's like it's all muddy with Ran Carthon and John Robinson and Vrabel, and it shouldn't be, because the bulk of that stuff happened under a different watch, under a different regime. Ran was only here for a year, so there was not much he could have.
Well, he was here for 2.
Well, 2 years. But there was not much that he was doing that the last regime had already done. He was just trying his best to make up for some of the failures and he compounded it at certain positions. So I am not going to, outside of Brinker, because yes, Brinker should be tied to some of that stuff too, because he was more than likely an instrumental part in some of the things that happened toward the end with players. So I'm not going to leave him out. But if you're just talking Bergonzi and Callahan, then I'm not going to hold them to, what the past regime did. Give them an opportunity, and nothing that I've seen up until this point causes me to believe that they are not trying to do what's best for the organization.
615-737-1025. My question for all of you: can the Titans do anything this offseason to start repairing your trust in them? Scott is in Hendersonville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Scott, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, I just had to interject. It's not just Titans fans. It's a symptom of fandom in general nowadays with the internet. People, you get caught in negative feedback loops. I mean, Auburn basketball was number one pretty much all year, and you lose a game 24 hours after clinching the SEC without your point guard, and then you lose another game at the buzzer, and then you lose a game where your opponent hits 93% free throws and you hit 53, and suddenly you're never going to win another game at all. And Jared does the same thing. Jared's one to talk. Jared says the Preds can never draft a forward, and that UC Soros can never win a playoff game. So it's not just Titan Get fans are fatalistic. It's a personality type. When you can't tune out the negative feedback and you start to dwell on it, it's just annoying from everybody that does it.
Thanks for the call, Scott. And Scott is right. Like, I am the same way as a sports fan. We tend to overreact to everything. I thought his example of Auburn basketball was a smart one, because they entered the NCAA tournament as the number 1 overall seed, despite losing 3 of their final 4 games. They were untouchable for most of the season. They lose 3 of 4 entering the NCAA tournament. In their first 2 games, Alabama State hung around in the first half, and Creighton gave them one hell of a game. So I'm sure there are Auburn fans right now that are feeling a little bit iffy about Auburn. But that's beside the point. I understand what Scott is saying. The Titans have also given their fans little to no reason to be trustful of them.
And you're absolutely right about that. That's why I'm not going to fault, I'm not going to sit here and berate the fans that may feel that way, but I just want them to understand that, just like being in a relationship, and if somebody asks you to change some things within the relationship and you agree that you're changing them, and you see the change that is happening, but things may not be moving as fast as you want, or something may happen that has nothing to do with it, but yet and still you're going to you're always going to look back to the prior things that happened. Well, I don't think you can get it right because of those things that happen in the relationship, when in actuality you're showing them that, yes, I am getting it right. That's what the Titans fans are showing. I mean, that's what the organization is showing the fan base, at least from Brinker and Callahan. Y'all wanted change in this relationship in a certain area. We gave you change. We fired the GM. Okay, we reorganized some things. Now you got to give us that opportunity. We brought in a whole new offensive line, guys that have been playing, guys that we can rely on. So I'm doing some of the things that is being asked of us, but you're still wishing ill on the team. That's the part that, now listen, if it doesn't work out, if it comes to, okay, at the end of the day, it doesn't work out, then hey, that's a part of athletics, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. Everything doesn't work out the way you plan. You may have done everything, crossed every T, dotted every I, but yet and still, a bunch of injuries happen. It just doesn't work out. With guys that have been nothing but available, now all of a sudden they get injured. Stuff like that, you don't plan for. It's like how can you plan for that when these guys that you brought in have played 99% of the games last season? So outside of that, it's like, I think what Borgonzi is doing and what Callahan is doing, they're trying to go opposite of what the organization was doing prior to the change. And that's a good thing. They went out and got guys they felt was available on the offensive line. So they're beefing up the offensive line. Okay, they went and got some other players. May not be marquee players, but they went and got some other players. Reliable players. Guys that we know are going to be on the field. So if that's what you're asking them to do, go get more of those players and then some playmakers. Then, let it play out first. That's all I got to say. Let it play out.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your reaction. Is there anything the Titans can do or have done this offseason that will help them regain your trust? Because this Cam Ward pick, assuming it's Cam Ward, it looms large. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063 The Game. D. Mace, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick will join us momentarily live from Raleigh, North Carolina. Predators versus Hurricanes tonight at 6, pregame at 5, right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. One programming note. Because of the early start time, Barry Trotz will join Robbie Stanley on Predators pregame at 5 o'clock. So the usual 5 o'clock for Barry Trotz today, but not with Jared. He will be on with Robbie Stanley at 5 o'clock. We welcome in Willie Donick. Hello, Willie.
Hello, guys. What's going on?
We are doing wonderfully. We've been talking a lot about Cam Ward's pro day, but the question that I have posed to all of our listeners at 615-737-1025. What can the Titans do this offseason to regain the trust of their fans? And I just want to go through at first, and then I'll let Willie answer this question. But I just want to go through first what the Titans have done so far this offseason. They fired Ran Carthon and hired Mike Borgonzi. Most of you did not like Ran Carthon as Titans GM. So they made that change. They brought in an experienced special teams coordinator, Bones Fossil, replacing a first-year special teams coordinator, Colt Anderson. We talked about the special teams issues all season long. Bones Fossil has been in the league for a minute. Bones Fossil coached Derek. So that's how long Bones Fossil, again, this is not me saying that Derek is old. He's seasoned. He is seasoned, and so is
He's
Bones
a fossil.
He is not a fossil. He brings in Bones. They bring in Bones Fossil. So they get more experience at an important coaching position. In free agency, they bolster the offensive line. They signed Dan Moore. They signed Kevin Zeitler. Most importantly, they sign players who are durable. Dan Moore doesn't miss games. Xavier Woods does not miss games. I don't think even Van Jefferson misses games.
Zeitler didn't miss a game.
Zeitler doesn't miss very many games. So the Titans put a premium on durability, which has been an issue. So those are the things that they've done so far this offseason. The Cam Ward decision looms large because of the importance to this franchise, as you laid out earlier, Derek. But as I said yesterday, I'm sure the Titans wish they had the number 1 pick a year ago, because we weren't having these conversations about Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or Drake May. At least I don't recall us having these conversations about, I don't know, are they worth the number 1 pick? It was pretty evident that Caleb Williams was worth the number 1 pick. But now the Titans, they are in position to draft a quarterback where people are wondering if he is really, truly a number 1 pick caliber quarterback. So let's bring Willie into this. Is there anything the Titans have done or can do, in your opinion, Willie, this offseason to help regain the trust of their fans that feel so burned by a lot of the decisions that the team has made in previous years?
I think the population of people that drive that narrative are, I don't know that they represent, the mass majority of the actual Titans fans, but I think, like, when you have a group like that, it does shape it. And as I said yesterday, there are a lot of examples of things you can point out where it's a fair question to ask. What is going on over there in terms of the continuity, the decision-making process, the communication, the cohesiveness? It does look like it's kind of batty sometimes, the wild card. And of course, yesterday, as we're talking about this, I don't know if you guys mentioned this on the show, but Derek, I know it's a guy that you worked with for a long time, and I've known since we were in college together. We were actually roommates at one point, but Robbie Bourne was let go yesterday. I was really disappointed to hear that. 28 years. He was a guy that was a staple, a very even-keeled guy that I thought was extremely effective in his job. I'm biased, of course. But like, Robbie Bourne is not a guy that does something to get fired. Like that, there's no reason why he would get fired. Like, he is the consummate pro. So I'm completely puzzled by that move. That's that's another thing that has you going, what are they doing over there?
And
What's going on up top? Like what's the process over there? Why?
And that is some of the things, and we were gonna talk about Robbie and his his stint.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Robbie Boren was the Titans' head of football communications, and he was a lifelong employee, well, I guess of the life of the Titans organization, was a lifelong
original.
Yes, he was an original. Thank you. An original Titans employee. He joined the team in 1997. And look, I heard Jared Stillman talking about this. Paul Kaharski wrote a story about this at his website yesterday. Robbie Boren is not someone that the casual Titans fan knows about. His primary job was to be the liaison between the team and those who cover it, which is by extension how all of you get the information about the team that you love or love to hate or hate to love. I don't know. Depends on how you feel about it. But he is, as Willie said, someone is an original Titans employee, somebody, to use the old cliche, who bled two-tone blue, and he's gone inexplicably. I did not know Robbie as well as Willie and Derek. The times I did interact with him he was always very cordial, very helpful. But, it's decisions like these behind the scenes that can lead to questions about team culture.
Yeah, and this is what you're going, and this is what some of the, fan base, or those that are sort of, moved here, they, are not partial, or neither do they like or dislike the Titans. They just see from afar what's going on. And it does seem like an organization that, it makes you a little bit hesitant in regards to truly trusting them moving forward. Like you said, Robbie Boren was if you think of somebody being fired, you don't think of Robbie Boren. That's the last person you would probably think of. And he's been there, he's been head for 25 years, but he's been with the organization for, I believe, 28 years. And he's been nothing but, helpful, respectful to the media. He may not always agree with what we'd say. I thought the organization, had a problem with me, but when I would talk to Robbie or ask him for anything, I would have never thought that.
He was so good at calming down. He could calm down a volatile situation.
Exactly, but he was just a good. Yeah, he did his job extremely well, and he was well respected, not just here in the Nashville area, but I believe, and frankly, I know, because when I went to Baltimore, or I went to Houston, or the Jets, they talked about Robbie Boren and how their interactions with him. So it's not just here in Nashville. It's in Baltimore. It's in New York with the Jets. It's with the Houston Texans, and I'm sure it goes even beyond that, because you don't last as long as he did if you are not making good relationships in your building and outside your building. And how do you treat those former players that are coming back and may want, or ask questions of you about the organization? How do you handle that? And with my experience with Robbie, it has been nothing but A1 professional. And I texted him yesterday, and he texted me right back. So I just wanted to tell him how much we appreciated, or how much I appreciated him, and what he was able to do, and how much I thought he meant to that organization.
So Adam, so just to kind of bring it back to your original question, right? There's all of these things that we can list that would have you questioning whether they have a tight run ship over there, right? I think they have major questions there. It doesn't mean you can't have a good team.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of question marks, and all the things you pointed out, Adam, I think are cause for optimism. But there will be a cross section of the fans. We had a few, I think, called or text our show yesterday that are in the mode right now of whatever decision they make, it's not going to go well. There's just because, right? And so until they have a run of success and start winning some games, that group of people are not going to be convinced otherwise. They are just resigned to the fact right now. They don't know what they're doing. If they take Cam Ward, it's wrong. If they trade the pick, Cam Ward's going to be a franchise quarterback because it's the Titans.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, some people just think that way, right?
You can't
Yeah,
win.
you get into that.
And listen, I understand the skepticism in all of this. Why? Because this is what has been shown to the Titans fans. But again, you asked for change within the organization, just like a relationship. If you're asking someone to change and you see the change, you can't keep, wishing ill on the relationship or the team because of prior things that have happened, especially if they ask you to get like you said, they ask you to get a new special teams coach, a more seasoned one. What do they do? Go out and get one of the best in Fossil. You ask them to change the GM. What do they do? Go out there and get Borgonzi, who's been a part, who's watched a successful organization draft a quarterback and proceed to win championships. And he was a part of that. So you're going to get all these things that the fan base is asking for. I don't understand still, and you're doing everything. I don't understand still. Why would you wish ill on the franchise, or why would you wish ill on the relationship? You just don't do that, especially if the things are happening that you have asked for them to do. That's just me. But again, I understand there are some in the fan base that no matter what, they think that whoever is doing the drafting, it's the Titans and it's going to go bad.
So let's get to some of your reactions. 615-737-1025. And there are two texts here that sort of make our point about different opinions. So one texter pointed out, I can't remember the exact number, but I believe it was Chad Brinker, and I guess Mike Borgonzi too. We're talking about the number of top 100 picks they want to have, right, in the next few drafts. This texter says, picking Cam Ward, you're not getting that draft capital, so you lied to us already. That was one texter. They haven't made that decision, by the way.
He said they will try. They would like to have.
Yes.
He didn't say we are going to. See, again, you got to listen to
then
the
we
wording.
have another texter who says, just draft Cam Ward. That's what they can do. Trading the pick will lose my trust. So you can't win either way, right?
But listen, when he says it's all about wording, they want to try to have X amount of picks within the top 100, for these years. We want that to happen. But you know what? We may not get it. That may not be the case. Somebody may not want to draft, trade out, out off the number one pick. With
Brinker said, quote, I would love to have 30 picks over the next 3 years, and 12 of those picks come from the top 100.
I would love to. Don't you think every other GM out there would love to have the same thing? I would love to. He didn't say we will.
I would love to have more hair.
I would love to have $1 million.
I would love to have more hair.
We would all like to have more hair.
So it's like
because we're all bald on this show.
Exactly.
As many people point out.
We would love to have X amount of picks in the top 100.
I'm actually, my head is shaved, not bald. Sorry.
So
just making that clear.
Well, I don't. Mine won't grow no more. So forget you, Adam. So he's not telling you we will because he doesn't know. Circumstances are different each and every year. If you are a better team, there's more times than not, you're not going to have all those draft picks. Now, you may be able to sort of work your way into getting them eventually, but you can't just, if you love Cam Ward and no one wants to give you what you believe is going to be worth to move up to that number one pick, then I'm not trading off just because, oh man, I can't do it because I won't reach that number, which I said I would love to have. No. If it's not right, I'm not doing it. That's the way I see it. But like you said, and like we've heard, there's one extreme and there's the other. But majority of the people are in the middle.
Right.
Just like everyday life.
Like, look, we've said this many times as well, Willie, that although draft analysts appear somewhat skeptical that Cam Ward is a number one overall pick worthy quarterback and a quote unquote normal quarterback class or better quarterback class. As long as the Titans have strength in their convictions, and all of those people who showed up to Cam Ward's pro day, Borgonzi, Brinker, Callahan, Ziegler, Reggie McKenzie, Jim Wyatt, everybody, all of the video people, as long as they have, strength in their convictions that Cam Ward is their guy, that's all that matters. But because of all of the conjecture out there, it feels like the Titans are behind the 8 ball already when it comes to making this decision.
I was reading a very interesting article in The Athletic about just really breaking down some of the things that you can track in his college stats. And as Tim Hasselbeck pointed out, because he started a lot of games in his college career, you have a lot of reps that you can evaluate. You have a lot of data. So it's not the small sample size. You got a big sample size. So that should help you with the evaluation. So the more analysis that you see with Ward, I do think, because yesterday we were joking about all these quarterbacks in the past. They've got it. He's a leader. Everybody follows it. Whatever it is, he's got it. Like, I need more than that if you're going to use the first pick on him. And I think some of the analysis I'm seeing is encouraging, and I really do trust Tim Hasselbeck because he really dives deep into these quarterbacks every year. And I think he's had a pretty good track record of what you're going to see. So even if he's not, because I've wrestled with this myself, because I keep asking, is Ward a guy that is worthy of the first pick, not worthy of being a first round pick, but the first overall pick? That's an important question. But this is where I'm kind of swaying a little bit, is if he's worthy of a top 10 pick in any year, and it's a quarterback, and you desperately need a quarterback, that is hard to pass up. If you really like him, and as Derek says, if you, with conviction, say, I believe in this guy, then it may not be perfect, but he may be your guy. And all of these signs, it's hard to ignore all of the people they sent down there for the pro day and the dinner the night before. It looks like it's moving in that direction.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction on Cam Ward's pro day, and if there is anything the Titans have done or can do this offseason to start rebuilding your trust in the organization. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063. The Game.
All right, let's talk F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. We have a great time with these guys. They're a big sponsor of our Take It to the Bank segment every Friday at 1:45. And during March Madness, it's a perfect time to talk about taking it to the bank. And F&M Bank, they've got great coverage all around our listening area with 20 locations where you're listening, all the way up into Hopkinsville, Kentucky, over in Clarksville. They've got 6 branches over there, and they're right in the heart of Nashville on West End Avenue, Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet, Springfield, just to name a few. Just go to myfmbank.com and find out where the nearest branch is for you and find out how they can make your life financially a lot easier. Banking made easy on purpose. They got a lot of tools for you, regardless of where you are in your financial life. If you're a business owner, they're ready for it. Their business, your business means more to them. So build a relationship. myfmbank.com. Start the process there and listen to us take it to the bank with F&M Bank every Friday at 1:45. F&M Bank, member FDIC. All right, let's talk about Lone Pronto. We're over here in Raleigh. The Predators taking on the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. And meanwhile, Lone Pronto continues to be the leader in quickly converting home equity into cold, hard cash. If you've got some equity in your home, you're a homeowner, you likely have maybe even more than you realize. The average homeowner has over $300,000 in equity, and that's your money to use if you need it. Got a credit card bill, a car loan, a personal loan you want to pay off, get that money down to zero. That's a great use of Loan Pronto's converting home equity into cold hard cash. They've got easy options to let you access that cash efficiently. No paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. One client got $150,000 out, paid off the credit card bill, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, and they cut their monthly expenses by $1,500 a month. That's the kind of thing they can do for you. So call right now and get approved in as little as one day. 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Get that money you need. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The throw that you did on the roll, on the run, where you hit a dime and it looked like you turned to the Titans brass, Chad Brinker and Mike Gorzanzi, and said something to him.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I said, I'm solidifying it today.
You solidified
what
it
I
today.
said.
Locking it up.
They heard you. They laughed.
I made sure they heard me.
So I guess off that tip, the Titans obviously have the #1 overall pick. They like you. They've had you in the building. What did you want to show them today?
I say not only showing them, but every other team just throwing on rhythm. Whether it's 3 steps on rhythm, 5 steps on rhythm for under in the gun, heavy play action, gun 5 with movement outside the pocket, just showing them all, under center stuff that I didn't get to show as much during the season. Let them know that I'm capable of it. Because at the end of the day, the NFL is not playing under center all the time. They're in the gun, but you got to be able to do it. And so that was the main focus for me. And then other than that, it was just making it all about my receivers, trying to throw them catchable balls, make sure not have balls hit the ground. We had a couple. But at the end of the day, you ain't going to be perfect. You always got stuff to get better at.
That was Cam Ward after his pro day yesterday on NFL Network. Adam Schefter tweeted about an hour and a half ago, that Tennessee will hold an additional private workout with Cam Ward. Again, not a surprise. The Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward, and while they are expected to listen to offers for the #1 overall pick, it now would take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. I can see Willie Donick in his hotel room in Raleigh just rubbing his hands together, saying the plan is working perfectly.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Step up to the plate. Give me your best offer.
Yeah, and listen, it doesn't hurt, and I've said this before. It doesn't hurt for everybody to know that you really love Cam Ward. It doesn't, because I don't think you can. Maybe they can, but it's hard for me to think that you can fake it to make it this much, like this intently. Like, it's just, that they like exactly what they see, and what they're seeing is exactly what they saw on film. And I think even more to that is, now that they've talked with him another time, because they talked with him at the combine, I'm sure. Now you got a chance to talk to him again. They are just loving him more and more and more. Now, does that ultimately mean they draft him? I don't know. But the scale is sort of tilting that they will, but that's not a bad thing. Because if you like him that much, and the Giants or anybody else really want him, and they know you like him that much, don't you think they may offer a little bit more to try to get up to that spot? I tend to think if you like them the way the Titans like them, or even more, you like what the Titans are seeing, then I would tend to think you would offer a little bit more. Now, whether the Titans take it or not, that's solely up to them. I don't know.
One texter on our text line answering our question about what the Titans can do this offseason to at least start the process of regaining back fans' trust. One texter says, trading back would give me faith that this organization prioritizes long-term goals over short-term success. If they do take Cam Ward, I'd love to hear from Borgonzi and Brinker post-draft on why they made more sense than trading back, and we'll need the answer to be something more than he was the best quarterback in this class and we needed the quarterback.
But in their minds, and tell me what you think of this, Willie. In their minds, I understand what the texter is saying, but in their minds, if they're drafting Cam Ward #1 overall, they believe he's the future. So that plan that they had, that plan is still in place. Because if we are believing what our eyes see and what our ears hear, and if that happens like it did with Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, and somewhat from a play standpoint with Caleb Williams, because you look at Caleb and you figure, he's the guy. They just need to get some things situated around him. If you see, wouldn't you think, okay, this helps, this benefits us more than anything, that we find a quarterback, if we find our quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years, because that is more than half the battle, finding you a quarterback and a team that can coach and develop that quarterback.
One of the things in that article that I was referencing, it's in The Athletic. They talk about Ward is a guy that has a track record. Like, he was not a high recruited high school prospect. In fact, they called him a 0-star. I don't know if that's 100% accurate and everybody agreed he was a 0-star, but he did get signed by Incarnate Word, right? He didn't go to a major college out of high school. And he worked his way up. He transferred, and he ends up at Miami, played a lot of games, So if you think improvement is a skill, then Ward, you hope, will not be a finished product once he gets into the NFL, that he'll keep getting better. So this is the essence of the article. Ward is a step down from the elite prospects of the 2024 class. Again, that's the dilemma for the Titans. You have the first pick. The first pick should be an elite prospect. I'm not using the G word, but
don't you
I
dare.
think it's reasonable every year when you have the first pick. You want an elite prospect. And Ward is not an elite quarterback prospect, but I think this echoes most of the evaluation. He's worthy of a top 10 pick in his own right, especially with the position he plays. And so that's the dilemma. Is there a team that thinks he's good enough to where you're saying, look, it's well worth an extra first or an extra second or a combination of other picks to go get this guy? And that's what I don't know if the Titans have seen that kind of offer yet. And they deep down, do they believe he's worthy of the first pick? It's a tough position to be in, I think.
Charles Robinson, who joins Robbie and Rexroad every week, wrote a story on Yahoo Sports about Cam Ward's pro day. And he wrote, shortly the Titans knew his intentions, meaning Cam Ward's intentions, after a motorcade of the team's top executives and coaches took Ward to dinner Sunday in advance of his workout. Now everyone else knows too. The workout was attended by at least one representative from every team in the league, including a healthy contingent from the New York Giants, and general manager Joe Shane, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, and quarterbacks coach Shea Tierney. Interestingly, the Cleveland Browns attendance didn't feature either GM Andrew Berry or head coach Kevin Stefanski. So those are the two teams that a lot of people key in on when it comes to this pick. The Browns at 2 or the Giants at 3. Now, the Giants signed Jameis Winston, but that can't be it. Jameis Winston starting 17 games for the New York Giants. He feels like a placeholder. So we'll see if either one of those teams is desperate enough. One texter says, for the people who keep saying to trade back, I'm going to ask one simple question. Who's throwing the ball? I mean, that is a pretty important position to figure out. All I mean is, it says all, and I mean all of the starting quarterback free agents are gone. The Titans have shown no interest in Dart or any other quarterback. To say that trading back to get more picks is the only way to show they are invested in the future is asinine. By the way, if it were up to me, we talked about this yesterday. If it were up to me, if it's not Cam Ward, the answer would be Will Levis. And we would do the Davis Mills path, as we discussed yesterday, where you throw Will Levis out there and you probably stink again, but then you end up in the same position and you hope it helps build up your franchise. But, you know, I am curious, as Adam Schefter said, it's going to take an even bigger offer. I'm wondering if the Giants and the Browns are starting to wonder, hey, maybe we really do need Cam Ward.
Listen, I get, the fan base when, you say, well, aren't you trying to fix the whole rather than just one individual position? Wouldn't you rather have, multiple picks and try to reach that 100 that you put out there? And he didn't say that it would happen. He said, we are trying. We would try. We would love that. Now, you look at, Washington. I go back to the Commanders. They end up having a lot of picks in the draft, but a lot of them were late round picks, 6th, 7th round picks, somewhere around there. But even with all of that, if they do not hit on the quarterback, all of that is for naught. All of these draft picks that they had was for naught. Because I'm sure some of these draft picks are not even on the team anymore, or had minimal to do with their success. But you know who did a lot to do with their success? Jaden Daniels. He had a whole bunch to do with their success. So it can work both ways. I think you can get your quarterback. If you think Cam Ward is your guy, you can draft him at number 1 and still find a way to enhance your team or make your team better via the draft. But you won't see the fruits of a lot of that if the quarterback isn't like that guy, because that's the only guy people want to see. Yeah, you may draft a running back or receiver in the second and third round, but okay, if he doesn't work out, you're like, okay. But you want to make sure that the number one pick works out. So if he works out, regardless of what they do, you're going to say what? It was a successful draft. If he doesn't work out, but those other guys work out, you're going to say, man, that was a bad draft. Not knowing that the guys behind them are doing pretty good. They are key contributors to your team. It may take the quarterback that you drafted a little bit longer to develop. So you got to be careful in how sort of you look at this and say, well, I would rather have the picks than a quarterback. Okay, I understand that, but what if those picks don't pan out and you don't have a quarterback? I would, at least if the quarterback pans out and the picks don't work out, then okay, I'm still good, because the Washington Commanders have shown that the one guy that can change our fortunes as well as the Houston Texans is the quarterback.
615-737-1025. We'll take your assorted thoughts on Cam Ward after his pro day yesterday. 615-737-1025. But before we go today, I do want to welcome somebody into our media fraternity. We'll do that coming up next. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025, 1063 The Game.
All right, let's talk about Lee Company, proud sponsor of our Nashville Predators coverage, which starts a little bit earlier tonight, 5 o'clock, and it's a 6 o'clock puck drop as the Predators take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who have won 9 out of 10, and they are a top 10 team in the NHL, 90 points already on the year. So tough test for the Preds. We'll see what they've got. Meanwhile, Lee Company continues to do their stuff. It's a beautiful day in Raleigh today. I'm looking out at it right now, and it's beautiful back in Nashville as well. So that means the summer months are coming. Enjoy this weather at last. It's going to get hot, and that means your air conditioner is going to get worked. And when it does, is it working efficiently, or does it need a little upgrade, a repair, maybe a brand new system? Maybe you've tried to just tough it out the last couple of summers, and it's time for something new. Well, that's happened in our house. We've lived in our house now since the year 2000. And we've seen it all. And Lee Company has really helped us make the right decisions when it comes to making those repairs or upgrades with the things that run your house, your furnace, your air conditioning, your plumbing system, your electric system. Just give Lee Company a call. They'll come out and help you. 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com. That's 615-567-1000 or leecompany.com. Lee Company, since 1944.
But is there anything that's, from your perspective, that is going to make you nervous about making this transition into becoming an NFL player? And that could be on or off the field.
I haven't really thought about it. I probably still have to get into it first, actually being a quarterback. But on film, it's the same as college. Besides the D-line, who's obviously better. Every team playing against the highest paid defensive linemen. So, the game could speed up a little bit. But just from a back-end standpoint, a lot of guys want to put the safety high, 25 yards down the field, and leave the middle field wide open. So some teams who did that to us this year, they paid the price. I think some teams in the NFL did a lot of too hot stuff, like Dallas, going a lot of Tampa, a lot of cover two. They leave way too much space on the sideline down the seams. And so I just think, the arm strength and, the confidence that I'm bringing, along with the, me getting my receivers better, I just think I'll be able to put the ball where I want.
That was Cam Ward answering the question. But more importantly, that was Ran Carthon asking the question. Ran Carthon doing interviews now for CBS Sports Network. Ran Carthon live at Miami's Pro Day. Awkward. That's what I thought when I saw that. That's what I saw. That's what I thought when I saw that. I was just like, ooh, Ran Carthon. So welcome, Ran Carthon, to the media brotherhood and sisterhood.
Is this what he's going to do? Is this because I do think he would be really good at it if that's what he wants to do.
It's a good question.
He seems like he may end up being, because we didn't see, if you think about it, we didn't see Vrabel go into it because I think coaching is a little bit different and you want to keep yourself immersed in it. GMing is like, once you're out of it, it ain't like you can go hang around and be around other GMs as they're doing their jobs and whatnot. They may hire you as a consultant in some other area, but I think you tend to see GMs, especially those that may be more willing to give their thoughts or whatnot. Those guys tend to find themselves that are good talkers. Those guys tend to find themselves on television. Look at Mike Tannenbaum. He's one example. And there, Louis Riddick, he's another example of guys that have had high positions and now, because their ability to articulate it, they put them on television.
I'm wondering.
It's funny too. I think through the years, like sometimes, and I'm not saying this is what Ran Carthon would end up doing, because he may aspire to get another crack at it, right?
Yes.
He may be willing to go be a assistant GM somewhere and build up some wins on a good team and a good program where he gets considered again and gets another shot to be a GM, even if it takes 3 or 4 years. But there's some famous failed coaches or GMs that make great announcers, right? And they end up, it becomes part of the thing. Like Dick Vitale is famous for making fun of himself. I wasn't a great coach, but here I am, and so he's one of the most recognizable college basketball personalities there is. Bill Raftery is another guy who's been a tremendous. He wasn't a great coach. You look at his record, not a lot of winning. So the career can take you in a lot of different ways, for sure. And I do think Ran Carthon is very personable, and I think he can get a lot of good interviews. You could tell it right there. There was a comfort that Cam Ward had answering that question from Ran Carthon. He may not have gotten the same comfort if I asked the question.
So Ryan Wilson at CBS Sports wrote a column about Cam Ward's pro day. And there is a paragraph in here that says, for an idea of Ward's demeanor, I cannot encourage you enough to watch this interview from his pro day from our newest colleague, former Titans general manager Ran Carthon, who might also be joining me for upcoming episodes on With the First Pick. So it appears that Ran Carthon is
a new gig.
dipping his toe into the media waters. I do wonder, though, at one point, maybe after the cameras turned off, Ran Carthon said to Cam Ward, hey, you're welcome.
Hey,
you like Tennessee?
Because of me?
You're welcome.
You may just as well be the number one pick. Thank me later. Put a check in the mail for me.
Oh, man. But
it was good to see Ran, regardless, whether you agreed with them or not, or whether you felt he did a great job or not. I think it's, at least for me, it's good to sort of see him back, in the sort of football world through media. because I can attest to, and I'm sure he can from a player standpoint, that, when you leave the game or when some people deem you're not good enough to be on my team anymore, that's hard. That's rejection under any circumstance. I don't care if you're the toughest of the tough. Rejection is hard. It's really hard to receive. But it's good that he's back, putting himself back out there to sort of, not sit in it for too long.
What do you think it was like for him yesterday when he saw the Titans contingent maybe on one side of the field and he was on the other side of the field? Like, do you think it was a little awkward? Like the first time you run into your ex in public? It's like, that they're there. You can feel their presence. You're giving them the side eye, hoping that they don't make eye contact with you. But, you puff up your chest a little bit. You do your beard right. You make sure you're looking your best. Like, I'm wondering what it was like for Carthon yesterday.
Do you think he sent a friend over and saying, hey, please don't come into the same area when he's going to be there? It makes it very uncomfortable. Did you have that like your go-between? Like your ex who's friends?
Such and such is over there. You know that, right?
Right. Okay, well, I'll go talk to him. We're still cool. I'll talk to him, Hey, we can't be in the same areas here. If let's make a rule, if you guys are in the same place, somebody's got to leave. This is uncomfortable.
It's like, man, grow up. I mean, we're adults. You should be able to be it. Outside of somebody physically harming you, I get that part. Don't want to be a part of them. But I think there's a point where you just be an adult, man. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and I get it for whatever reason. You hope they would stay together. But hey, Rand, if you see him over there, just give the nod. You ain't got to walk over there. Just throw up the two hands, the 2 fingers, like, gotcha. I see you.
Teammates, this is America.
Yeah.
We
Hey
thrive
guys,
on drama.
Exactly, you're right.
I did work on the plane.
I did. I'm doing work now.
I did not sleep on the plane.
Hey, look
Or if
all the work I just did.
Or if I did, y'all were sleeping too. You remember that? You remember that part? When you were sleeping, I had to come over and say, hey, the plane's getting ready to land. You remember that one? No, but I think both sides would be adult enough and professional enough, regardless of what the situation may be, to, if we cross paths, I'm not going out of my way, but if we cross paths, hey, how you doing? Hey, keep up a good job. Oh, hey, I hope you land, see that you're out here with media now. Great job. But, whatever I can do, whatever. Then you keep it moving. But yeah, I'm sure it probably, if it was me, I'd have looked over there and be like, oh, there they go. All right, I'm gonna continue what I'm doing. But then, it's like, okay, I throw him 2 fingers. Yo, what up?
Chuck on our text line said, had Carthon been a little bit more media friendly with the Titans, he might still have his job as a GM. Alex from Clarksville says, just because it didn't work out doesn't mean we should hate the guy. I do find it funny how he avoided interviews and now does them. Well, now he's conducting the interviews versus answering the questions.
Anybody knows that's what I said all the time.
Is Berganzi and Brinker doing a lot of interviews?
Well, not yet.
I don't think they will do a lot of interviews. I just don't. I think that's just how the organization is. They're going to talk a lot now because Berganzi just got hired, even though he's been like on hiatus. But I know why. We all know why, because of the draft. But I don't think he's going to talk no more than what Rand did as we start to move forward.
We will.
It's probably going to be his prerogative. Bobby Brown, my prerogative. But I will always believe that Rand Carthon would have helped himself because he is a good, personable guy for having a bigger media presence.
That'll do it for us today. Predators versus Hurricanes. That's where Willie is in Raleigh, North Carolina. Early puck drop tonight. Puck drop at 6. Pregame at 5. Right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. One quick programming note because of the early start time. Barry Trotz will still be on at 5 o'clock. He will be on with Robbie Stanley in pregame versus Stillman and Company as he usually is. So Barry Trotz at 5, just with Robbie Stanley as part of Predators pregame. Stillman and Company coming up next.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful Tuesday. Peace.